When you find a real estate platform that aligns everyone in the entire company financially by making us real estate agents owners, so when the average agent wins, everyone wins, that's the secret to success. And when you surround yourself with like-minded entrepreneurial people who absolutely love what they do, they love serving people, they love God and life, and you put yourself in an environment of high energy, high producing, positive people every day, you can't help but succeed in business and life. We are changing the real estate industry and changing real estate agents' lives. Welcome to the Financial Freedom Forever podcast. Well, hello everyone. Welcome to the Financial Freedom Forever podcast. Super excited today to be introducing to you guys some fantastic people. We have Kym Plivelich from California. Everyone's from California, but Kym's here with me at eXp Realty, one of my business partners, and she's been in real estate can't talk today. Profession for 16 years. She's very experienced in short sales, bank-owned properties, had her own independent brokerage herself with several agents. So super excited to have Kym part of our eXp group now. And we have Gary and Brandon. They're co-owners of Central Valley REI, which stands for Real Estate Industry. They have paid out over $150,000 in referral fees. So it's just, Kym's been telling me they've been great partners to work with and have another tool in a real estate agent tool belt to help sell more homes to your buyers and sellers. And Gary and Brandon, they come with some a long resume as well. We'll only hit a few of the high points here, but Brandon, he's had 2 decades of experience in the industry, spans on lending, investing, property management, wholesaling, and flipped over 75 houses, closed more than 1,000 loans, exceeding $250 million in volume, and completed over 400 off-market properties. So we're real excited to hear about what he's doing there. And Gary, sorry I didn't mention your last name, Gary Frausto and Brandon Hardin. Sorry about that, guys. But super excited to hear the rest of their stories. But Gary's been around in the real estate industry for over a decade and has closed over 85 million deals, 75 million from 350 homes as a real estate agent, and an extra 10 million as a wholesaler, doing residential, commercial, land, and kind of everything in between. So I think we're going to be able to learn a lot from these 3 today, and excited to get to know you. So thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Andre. Thank you.
So let's start with you, Kym. Kind of tell us a little bit of your real estate background and some of your history. What led you from where you are to eXp?
Okay. Well, like you said, I've been around since 2008. I got my license then when everybody was leaving the industry, but I knew no different. And I loved it. And I started out super successful. I just took anything and everything that was handed to me because everybody else was leaving. At that time, I did short sales and bank owned. Everything was vacant for 2 years. Things that I did, there was no owner in the house.
Wow, right.
So that was interesting. But I got a lot of education. And I didn't know any different. Older agents or, more seasoned agents, maybe they didn't want to do bank owned or short sales. And I just did. So that got me a good foundation. I knew I'd want to get my broker's license. That's just kind of part of me.
Right.
And so I did as soon as I could, went out on my own, built up a team, and I loved it. I had a great time. And then COVID hit. So everybody, went to their homes and it wasn't the same. And I just felt like I just couldn't be, give them the benefits of stuff, not being in an office. And so I just kind of downsized and thought I'll just do it on my own for a bit. but I got a little bit bored and I was approached for EXP. And so I'm going to give it a try and see if I can get my, feet in there and do some good.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll do great with your history and background. Go getter, get things done. That's the kind of people who really thrive in EXP. The go getters usually do really, really well in any industry, but definitely with our model. I just want to shout out to a bunch of our listeners there: Lisa, Tim, Rachel, Brian. Good morning, Brian, Dawn. Good to see you. Everyone else, please make sure if you have any questions for these guys, make sure to put them in the chat so we can ask them and share this on social media. Get the word out there of what Kym's going to be doing with Gary and Brandon and their business. So let's go ahead, Gary. I'll have you go next. I'm going to tell a little bit about your background.
Yeah, so born and raised local, Bakersfield, California. About a decade of real estate. Holding my license. Top producer here in town. I think the best I ever got was out of 2,500 agents, I got to the top 30 my first 3 years in as a listing agent. Really highly believe in partnering, coaching, being coachable. And then my last 2 years, I wanted to shift and I started seeing the market shift though. So I did a fix and flip, which I had no clue how to do. And they just pointed me in the direction of a house, showed me how much we can make and gave me a hard money lender. And they said, figure it out. So I collabed with somebody else and that turned from 1 into about 5. But during the process, one thing is I always ask questions. Where do the properties come from? How do we get them? How did you get these numbers? How are these relationships with people? Just I want to understand the process. And during that process, I was purchasing them and getting them from Brandon, and he was a wholesaler. And I always bring this up real quick because I'm pretty sure every one of us have heard this, where it's like I buy houses cash, or I have investors, and or I have off market deals, and it's being even in the industry at that time for 8 years. The ego says I know it all. And you don't want to say, I don't know. Yeah, I know what that means.
Yeah.
And it goes over your head. And now that I look back at it, had I just said, can you explain that to me and how that works? I probably could have helped a lot more families, buyers and sellers. And finally, when I started listening, it was like a light bulb just came on. And I said, okay, wait, what? There's an extra tool I can use. I always blew this off as it was just, it was just some kind of gimmick I would see. There's no way someone has all that cash to buy houses. And how do you do that? And so I met Brandon. And one thing about him was he was always honest, upfront, great to work with, always, people first to solve an issue. Ran through, he showed me all about wholesale and, real estate investments, fixing, flipping, all these things that are out there subject to financing, creative financing. And one thing I liked about him, he worked as hard as I did. He's a guy that's going to be there Monday through Sunday if needed. And it's hard to find that. And I relied on him. And about 7 months into our journey, kind of working around each other, I looked at him and I said, hey, do you know all the systems we need and everything we need to buy for all this stuff? And what if we just become a juggernaut and do not only real estate partnering with other real estate agents, but we do the wholesale side of it. We do it the right way, for our community. He says, absolutely. And kind of headed into our second year of that. So that's kind of where I'm at. And then I've known Kym for a while. We were a part of the board, I think, together here in Bakersfield at a time. I was the president of the YPN, the Young Professional Network. And just so happened that we all ended up hanging out. So that's kind of my story.
All right, fantastic. So Brandon, tell us a little bit about your background.
So I started in finance in 96 in the old beneficial finance days. You've been around longer than me, so you maybe heard of them, like both beneficial household. So I wound up being in their management training program. And so I wound up doing all their real estate deals and their real estate collections. We did like crazy loans on mobile home parks. And I did a loan on a meat packing plant, and everything was at like 14% in 4 points. Yeah. And everybody's like, oh, okay, they just wanted to get the deal done. Then I switched to regular mortgage, did some A paper and some subprime in the late 90s. And that's about when I started doing some flipping my own houses here and there. Like at Beneficial, I saw, we'd foreclose on something with $10,000. So I wish I would have bought more of those, but then I wouldn't be here sitting talking to you guys. And my grandfather was in real estate and had a lot of apartments and condominiums and construction companies. So I was fortunate to grow up around him. I probably should have spent more time with him, learn more. Did that, had mortgage company for about 10 years, and same thing, did some flips, had some rentals, and I got into did a property management consult, and then someone approached me from Southern California about off-market properties, wholesaling. And so I helped them for a little bit, and they exited the market. They didn't really understand that, back then a 2,000 square foot house here was $250,000, not $800,000 like down there. And so adjusting pricing got to be a little bit of an issue. And so I started doing some on my own. I helped another company with it. And then Gary and I started, like we said, like he said, last February. And really, we call them wholesale deals or off-market deals, but it's more about, when I say I've done 400 wholesale deals, I look at it more. We've helped 400 people that had some severe real estate stress of some sort, going to lose their house, inherited something that needs a bunch of work, in foreclosure. So unique, kind of a non-traditional way to do real estate. It's really about, I don't say I'm a salesperson. We're just a solution provider. We're here to help people with difficult situations.
Yeah, I like that, solution provider. And sometimes in the real estate industry, you definitely need some solutions, right? So great. Thanks for kind of sharing the background. So one of the headlines for our podcast was, $150,000 in referrals paid out. And man, us real estate agents like to hear about getting referrals paid to us. So I don't know, Kym, or you guys want to kind of share with you or how that all works exactly. And I know, Kym, you said these guys have been phenomenal. Is that extra tool in your tool belt? So when you don't have a cookie cutter deal, right? And there's, you need a solution. It sounds like these guys are the ones to go to. Kind of share what your experience been and what the first steps are. The agents that are listening, what do they got to do to get involved? Okay,
sure. So firstly, I never felt like I was doing investors justice. I love single family sales. I love new home buyers. I like walking them through the process. I like doing all those things. I just didn't feel like I was doing my best with an investor. I would work with them, but I never felt like I was doing it right. Okay. So now knowing them, I can totally just refer my investors to them. And when something happens, I get, a referral fee. So it really is even more simple. And my people are getting a much better deal than waiting for something to pop up on the MLS at retail, doing the whole bidding process and that. So that was the key one. Okay. Or one of the reasons. So the other tool in the box is now if I have a person, family, whatever situation, and maybe some distress, they're always in my head, maybe this will work. Right. Particularly, I had a client that his dad was dying, and he needed to sell the house. They'd already spent a ton of money. There was quite a few repairs that needed to be done. My friend was stressed out. He didn't know what to do. And, I was trying to crunch numbers and all I could keep saying is, now I don't know. And it was during this crazy time. I don't know. This isn't a guarantee. I don't know how long it's going to take. I don't know what the inspections are going to come back at, what they're going to request, what the lender's going to, require. So I gave him my numbers. I did an F sheet, gave him all my numbers. But then I had Brandon come and take a look and give their numbers. And it was, in this case, it was pretty close. I mean, there was a little bit of a gap, but we presented it to them and said, we can do this way with no guarantees. Could take a couple months. We could lose a buyer, blah, blah, blah. Or we could do this, 2 weeks, you have your money, you're gone. So he thought about it and he chose that direction to do
Right.
close in 2 weeks. Okay, so that's all great. Well, the kicker on all this is his dad ended up passing away pretty close to after we closed. Had that happen, it would have been probate and
Right.
it would have drawn out for God knows how long. And so he was so appreciative and thankful that we even gave him that option.
Right.
And because he didn't know any different previous, I wouldn't have known any different. So I like to tell that story for agents. You just never know. Just give them the option. You don't know what somebody's situation is.
Yeah, absolutely. The more options that people have, the better choices they can make for their personal family, and everyone's different. And there's always, 20 different things going on in everyone else's life. So
Sure.
many times, I'm sure cash offer close in 2 weeks is a much better opportunity for them. Is that kind of normal for you guys? Is closing in 2 weeks, or kind of share your back end process?
It's really about what the seller wants to do. So in the case, that Kym was talking about, they needed it done as soon as possible. I mean, we've had stuff where, it's a month or 2 months, just like a normal transaction, or they need their money to close, they need their money to move, and they need another week in the property. Our whole thing is, tailoring everything to what, as long as the pricing, everything has to make sense financially for everyone involved, but we tailor everything, closing date, all of those things to what the seller needs to do. I mean, yeah, we can do something in 10 days if they want that, but I mean, that's actually, surprisingly, that's pretty rare, unless it's a rental and, a non-owner that's vacant, they're worried about it getting broken into. Most of the owner occupied deals we do, it's a normal length, so we did just close a deal where the guy was going to lose his house in less than 30 days, and we got it done in 3 weeks and got him some money. So, but yeah, I mean, it's really, we're about the seller and helping them with what they need. And, like Gary said, he's great about asking, like, he's really good about not just asking questions about the business, but asking questions for the sellers and the buyers to get the full story of what everyone's trying to accomplish.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So when we go into these, coming from a cold calling that old Mike Ferry script where it's run the script and I can get you your highest and best, and when you want to get your money type situation, it's always going with that. Once I let that go, we let that go. We're consulting. We always ask everybody, what does this look like in the end, and work backwards for me. And I always ask everybody, how come you haven't listed it with a real estate agent? Why didn't you sign an agreement with them to sell it? And they'll start telling you why. And a lot of times it's pretty much anything. I mean, it can be, I have a crazy lifestyle, I can't show it. It can be, I'm embarrassed of how my house looks and I have no money to fix it up. I can't do the repairs. There's so many reasons.
Right.
And once I turned on that switch and I said, I need to listen to the consumer or to the homeowner, I started hearing that versus saying, well, here's what it comps for, and I can get you the most amount of money.
Right.
And there's many times we went into appointments and they're like, well, the real estate agent told me they can get me this, but they weren't listening to me. I didn't say I wanted that. I kept telling them I'm willing to take less, but they kept wanting to sell it for more. And I don't have 2 months to wait here.
Right.
So, but the good thing with us is that we have an a la carte. So where this comes into play with other agents, and what we really want them to understand is that when we lead in with the cash offer to begin with, but we give them anything they want to do. So do you want to do a cash offer? Would you be open to maybe a hybrid, almost like a net listing, where you still can get a little bit more amount of money? We harbor in the repairs and everything like that for you, just in case. And if we even oversell it, we'll give you back more money on top of it because we're utilizing the MLS. Or do you just want to do a traditional listing? You pick. Any one of those will work for you. And that's kind of, in the end, we're working together with the real estate agents too, as well, to keep them along in the process of where we might need to hand it back off to them, or not. Or even when we deal with the investors, it's like, hey, once they're done, let me pair you with a real estate agent that can help you list your house after you're done fixing it up if you don't have a partner to work with either. Because, we're not in the business of listing the house. We want someone else to get the benefit out of it too as well.
right.
Most of the sellers we deal with, and it's the same with really a regular listing. They want to know how much they're netting on the transaction and when. Well, with us, we can tell them, we know when it's going to close because it's easier to schedule than a traditional deal. We'll close whatever day you want. You want to close in 10 days, that's fine. You want to close in 40 days, that's fine. So that peace of mind, Michael Burnoff is a speaking coach. His thing is people don't like not knowing what's going to happen, like being up in the air, especially
fear of the unknown,
stress. Yeah. And so that them knowing how much, and what day, it makes a huge difference for their peace of mind, because a lot of times that's not their only problem. People in foreclosure have bigger problems than their house. Maybe they lost their job and they have kids to feed, or this inherited property that people keep breaking into. So a lot of times that isn't their only issue. And the more listening we do and the quicker and easier it's solved, the faster they get their peace of mind and can tackle whatever's next for them.
Right. Well, a big deal that I just heard all of you guys say is you really listen to the client and find out what their needs are, and then you can kind of tailor the whole solution around those needs. So, and you're absolutely right. That's some of the most important things for most clients. Even over and above the price is the knowing what their next step is. The fear of the unknown cripples a lot of people, and if they don't know, they don't do anything sometimes.
Well, there's kind of a misconception about, in our industry too, about the house has to be messed up, right? It has to need 50 grand in repairs or be burned down or whatever. That's not necessarily the case. We do. It's a smaller percentage, but we've done the deal with Kym. It needed some work. It didn't need 80 grand in repairs or anything. And, we've done some fairly turnkey homes. So it's more the stress and the moat has to do more with the seller's situation than the property situation itself a lot of times.
Okay.
Again, with mine, it was that fear of the unknown. Like, he didn't know how much time he had. He didn't know how much more money he was going to have to put out, and he didn't have that access. And it's to that fear of the unknown. So it was able to give him a concrete amount and date and be done.
That's fantastic. That's great. That's good service. That's just another tool that you want in your tool belt for sure. So glad we're having this conversation. Now, do you guys, what areas do you guys cover?
United States.
Okay.
So we can do the whole, the bulk of our business is here in Kern County, and California in general, but there's a software called Investor Lift, and it's kind of like the MLS for investors.
Right.
And so we just paid to have it our version completely upgraded to where we can reach investor buyers very precisely and targeted anywhere in the US. So we've done a couple things in Texas. We get a referral here and there in Florida, a guy that does what we do, but he's in Brooklyn. I've talked to him. So we can do anything anywhere.
Yeah, that system, I want to say we're probably one of 3 people in California that have it, because it's so expensive to purchase up front. Just getting a traditional person to pay for a lead generation source like a regular, or even taking a split on something is hard enough. But I saw a huge, a benefit of having it, because it is similar to having like the multiple listing services or the CRMLS, et cetera. And it goes nationwide. And what happens is a lot of real true investors aren't looking at these that hit the market. Once it hits the market, it's already at market value, or you're going to have to get into a bidding war. And now at that time, it's stretching the margins and it makes no sense. And then you're dealing with the real estate agent, and you hope that they're very trained in what they know. And they're not saying, well, my seller won't take that. Well, you're not the seller. They'll make a decision for the seller before you present the offer. So this system goes everywhere. And like Brandon was saying, the great thing about this, and this can go out to anybody if you're interested in, and you have buyers that are, that are looking for particular type of properties. We can get really down to it. We can pull an area and it will tell us every investor that bought within the last, 3 to 5 years, how much they bought it for, how much they sold it for, how much margins they made, how many properties they purchased, what their purchase buy boxes are. Shows us every city that gets the best returns for fix and flips and holds. It's robust. And then every time someone accesses, because you just can't Google it. Like, you have to be sent the link to, or click on one of them and register for free. And you can start seeing all these properties across the United States, and they have all the details on how to buy it. Once you've registered, you go into this national registry. And, now that we bumped up from this, we went from being able to advertise to 1,000 people to 8,000 to 10,000 people on one property. And we're getting a lot more. Plus, we're meeting other guys that are agents, and we're meeting, other kids and et cetera. And we're in the business of partnership team building. Like, I want to meet you, know you, understand. Do you understand the process of it? Because you're another boots on the ground out in Florida for me. So if you come across somebody that has something, because a lot of times, we'll come across a lot of people that are, as a real estate agent previously, like, well, I don't want to put my house on the market, but if you have a buyer, bring me a buyer. And then you're like, well, how do I market it? I have no clue. Well, you can call us and say, here's a situation. Let's talk to the seller. And a lot of times we can tell the seller, well, I understand you don't want to put it on the market, and you don't want to have it on the MLS. And that's we're not going to do showings. But for us to get it here and get for you and advertise it to investors, would you be interested in that? And a lot of times they're like, yeah, take a month at it. Have at it. So by the time that end of that month, if we don't get a sell, they've already understood that may not work for that situation. And then Kym can turn around and list the house as a traditional listing. And now they're more open to a standard listing. And they're honestly more open to paying you a premium commission because they've already seen their net sheet previously at a lower price point.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you guys aren't just, buying properties yourself and flipping them. You're really coming to solutions with agents all over the country and be able to find them investors yourself. So you don't just buy them for yourself. You will bring investors to buy these properties.
Yeah, a quick little thing too is it's funny that agents, realtors, kind of, I feel like they have a perception of standing off from people like Brennan and Gary. Like they're the enemy, I'm going to say, but just different, like they don't understand. And I'm like, no, they're here to help us. Like you have to trust the process, let them do their thing. And like you said, there might be some back solution. Realtors want to make their commission and help their client, but sometimes your client may need their help.
Right.
Well, and two, we get calls on an investor side where I'm looking for land in whatever, maybe where you are, Andre, and we can reach out to other people that we do what we do. We have cold callers, texters, like we have other, referrals, the primary source, and we want to build this big referral community, but we have people cold calling actively and doing other kinds of outreach and inbound lead gen. So, I mean, if somebody wanted to partner with us in a particular area, our callers can call there. We pull data from that area and, they make calls, leads. So we've been part of what we've been doing is putting all these things together, filtering through vendors that do and don't work. And eventually we want to have a bigger scale, like franchise model that can go into like a brokerage somewhere like EXP. And to me, as a broker or somebody that runs an EXP office, it's such a huge value add when you're recruiting, because now your agents that you're recruiting have opportunity to do off-market deals. Not only do them and help more sellers, but like I can teach somebody how to build their own portfolio, using seller financing and some other things. So we're providing more. You're able to provide more value for your sellers, help more people, and more value for your agents in your office, and really anybody you run into, like, oh, I've been thinking about buying a rental. Hey, I got a good one. You only need 5% down. The seller is going to carry the note or whatever. So it's an opportunity, like Gary said, to build a big community where everybody just helps everybody. There's no such thing as a competitor. Everybody's a partner of some sort.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
So I think a lot of times what you know, coming from the real estate side and being, you know, in this in almost a decade, you know, a lot of times we want to act like we know everything before we know everything, because there's a fear that we're going to get looked at like we can't get that deal, or we can't get that buyer, we can't get that seller because we don't act like we know it all, right? Or we have the right information. A lot of times that can get in the way for a lot of us. And in the community, when you're posting on social media, hey, I help buy, sell, fix, and flip, or I'm sorry, I help buyers and I help sell homes and I do investments. And it's the real cookie cutter stuff that we use consistently for our marketing and our cards and our flyers and everything. What I found out was the last 2 years when people would ask me, you know, what do you do? I'm like, oh, I deal in real estate investments. What do you mean? No, we do fixed flips, off market properties, portfolio purchases, creative financing. After that, they were there. They wanted to know all about it, because very few, there's a buyer buys a house, you know, the first time a person buys a house, I think it's usually like about another 3 years, they'll buy their second house. You know, most consumers are buying up to 3 houses, maybe in a lifespan, going up and then downsizing, or maybe they just stick it to 2. A seller will sell their house once. You don't really run into a lot of people that have large portfolios if you're not looking for them. So you don't really have a lot of returning clientele. So we're sitting there trying to ask for more referrals from them, saying the same thing over and over. But if you talk to anybody, you say, hey, man, you know, just in general, like, what do you know, what's your future plans? Just in general, oh, man, I would love to get into, you know, investments. I'd love to fix and flip a house because they see things on TV, or I'd love to buy a rental. Everybody wants to buy rentals, whether they have a license or don't have a license. The community just wants to. So it's a sticky marketing point to talking to people that they're now, when you're talking to them and they know they don't have to have a license to help out or to partake in what you're doing, they hear you different. And I found out that I had more open doors when I said I was in real estate investments, and I can get them. I can utilize all these tools that we do. And oh yeah, I do real estate. You know, not to knock it, but once I said I was a real estate agent, a realtor, they were, okay, I have a friend that's a realtor. I don't want to talk to you anymore.
Right.
That's my buddy. You know what I mean? And we all know sometimes when you make those relationships, they don't care what happens. They will not leave you. And I love those clients. But when we offer these tools and these assets over here, they can go back to them to buy and list all they want. But, you know, we're offering them a different strategy that they can feel that they're a part of.
When Kym and I, it was a year or so ago, we were at a dinner for a friend of mine's birthday, and he's a financial planner, a friend of ours that owns a big real estate brokerage, doctors, and they're like, what do you do? I'm all real estate stuff. And everybody started laughing, and then they're like, well, what does that mean? But it's such a different conversation.
Yeah.
Like the lingo's different, you know, but there's so many more opportunities than just list, buy, invest, or buy notes. Like, there's, you know, and we're still learning stuff. Like, I'm learning about land entitlements right now. And, you know, like Gary said, one thing, you got to kick your ego aside. We were at the city for this development thing. And I told the guy at the city, I'm like, you got to treat me like a kindergartner. I don't know anything about this. You know, it's important, you know, you got to put your ego aside, be willing to learn, you know, listen to people. There's so many different ways to help people in real estate and make money in real estate.
Yeah, that's awesome. I wish I would have known you guys back in the day when I was in New York selling. There's always something coming up that you know you need different solutions for.
I wish I knew myself 9 years ago with this information.
But then once again, we wouldn't be talking to each other, right?
That's right. Now, what's the best way to reach out to you guys if anyone needs your help? What's the best way to reach out?
Well, I wish I would have put the number in there because I saw you guys did it. But
yeah, well, slowly give me your number, and my virtual assistant here will put it on for you, or they'll put a scrolling thing here.
So my phone number is 661 area code 900-4104.
Okay.
I would highly suggest that you can follow my Instagram page, because that's where I do a lot of the marketing off market, you know, offering advice, things like that. It's kind of like that daily info. So my handler is at I am Gary, Gary, and then my last name is Frausto.
All right.
I am Gary Frausto.
All right, fantastic. So that's an easy one to get in touch with. And what other last minute things that we should share with people? Any of the three of you that you want to share that the average agent out there, other things that you can do for them, or anything else you want to share to our listeners?
We'll let Kym go first.
As we've said over and over, don't try to be so stuck on you. Open up a little bit and let other people help you. And when the situation, needs to be something different, just kind of go with that. Just don't be scared of changes. Right now we're in this whole past year has just been super different. So we don't know it all, that we can't specialize in everything. So let that go and let these guys help you.
All right.
And then my number is 661 699 5512. If anybody has any questions about what we've been talking about, or they have, some weird deal, like a friend of ours is an agent, he sent us a duck club to sell, right? And there's 160 useless acres. We've got commercial stuff. Like anybody that has something that is out of the ordinary, or they're just curious about if they wanted to get started in their area, feel free to reach out or text with any questions anytime.
All right, fantastic. And of course, you got Kym's number out there. So you can reach out to Kym. She can get you guys connected as well. Now, Kym, do you focus mostly right there in Bakersfield yourself?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right.
So
well,
quick, just for me, real fast. Everybody, look at where our market's trending. I mean, it was very. I mean, I don't know where everybody's located, but generally, I saw a lot of agents lose a lot of transactions, and production was down because we all tend to jump on that bandwagon of, NAR's getting sued, the commissions, and we talk about that for a month, and then, oh my gosh, the rates, and when the rates get better, and what happens is if you're gonna wait like every other agent, you're gonna wait to produce that same particular way and follow that trend of the market, or you can step back and say, okay, let me see what everybody's doing, or how else can I get involved and become the business professional, or that tool for the community, and open up and be able to help out. So attend your local meetups for agents, meet new people, attend your local investor meetups, meet new people, bring your book of business, and if you have any questions, or you come across, like you said, don't ever turn down an opportunity when somebody wants to sell something. And if you don't know the answer or can't find the answer, and you need to reach out to us and say, hey, I have this, what would you suggest we do?
Right.
We're always going to put you and the consumer, the client, first, to try to help you out through the situation and show you how it works. And if you want to know the process, we will walk you through A to Z on what we're looking at to break down and underwrite everything. But if you're like, I just want to hand it off to you and I don't want nothing, just cut me a referral check, then we'll do that too as well. The more you want to participate, the more we want you to become our friend and a business partner with us for the future and anything that you may come across. But don't ever turn down an opportunity where it's at. Just say, I got some resources I can reach out to. Let me get back to you. Because also too, when your seller or the buyer knows that you have somebody with over 20 years and 10 years worth of experience, and Kym herself, they're going to be more likely to wait for you than the agent that's pressing them to try to sign an agreement today or to sign that offer today. I got something. Let me talk to them, and then let me get back to you, see what I can find. And now you're their tool in their belt, and they're always going to come back to you. And that's just kind of how we all can win.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense. The agent that's, again, you guys said it a few times, looking for the solution for the client and putting them first, then that's everybody wins. Yep. Everybody wins. So a couple other questions that popped up while you said that. So if a real estate agent, and like myself here in Florida, and I wanted to send you guys a property that I needed help with a certain client, do you pay a certain percentage referral fee? It's a straight referral fee to the agent, or does it depend on how much they're involved? Like you said, the agent could just hand it off to you and said, hey, you need to take care of these guys, or you said the agent can be more involved. Give me a little bit more detail about that. And does the referral fees, range from a certain point to a certain point?
Yeah, I mean, so it's kind of the same as when we talk to the seller. We ask you, like, well, what are you trying to make on this? Are you trying to make your normal 2%, or, we've paid a flat fee, 2% of the sales price, and we've paid 20% of our assignment fee. We split a fee with Kym 50-50. So it's really case by case. I mean, We've had assignment fees that are $1,500 and some that are much, much, much larger. And, I think we split a deal 50-50 with an agent where we did all the work and he made $12,000 on it. And we each made 12 grand. So it's really the same thing. It's, and it's something we talk about, up front, when we're just discussing the deal in general. So everybody's on the same page and there's no confusion, and we're very straightforward. We say what we're making on a deal. If we're making $5 grand, I can't pay you $6,000 on a $300,000 deal.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was going to say, we all don't work for free. So, we all want to make something, but they adjust to that, and so they can adjust. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but they usually will make it work. And, just depends on what the split can be.
The general rule of thumb is going to be 20% of the assignment fee. In our world, we call them assignment fees, not commission checks, because we're not representing the sellers. We're representing the piece of paper that we're assigning to an individual and take it to escrow. So, but during that process, what we also inform them too is, and it's a couple things. One, we will never let an amount, and just like as a real estate side of it, yes, I want to get paid, but in the end, I'm not going to let anything stand in the way of this individual who's in hardship selling their property. So because we show up to work Monday through Friday, 9 to 12 every day in the office and go on appointments, and we treat this like a regular job, myself and Brandon, we know there's going to be more opportunities consistently. So one today that we have to give a break to and give a little bit more out is going to come and, pay us over. I believe everything in the universe is just going to reward us for the great work ethic that we put in.
Right.
So we want to make sure that we earn their business going forward, and they're happy with the process too as well, and everything like that.
And to reiterate something Gary said, because I'm sure people are going, well, Brandon doesn't have a license. How can you sell a property? We're not selling the property. We're assigning the contract to an end buyer. So it's very different things. Now, Illinois, you can't wholesale without a license, but you can double close. So there's a couple states where you have to have a license anyway, but someone asked that before, and I just wanted to throw that out there because I'm sure people that are listening are like, well, how can you do that? So we're assigning this piece of paperwork. We're not selling the property. And like Gary said, there's no representation, but we make sure everybody's taken care of. We had a lady where the CPA filled out her escrow paperwork wrong, and she was going to get hit with California has this 3 1/3% sales tax. And he refused to change the paperwork to the correct way, even though he's a CPA, and of course, because he's a CPA, which I understand, like he's her trusted advisor, worked with her for years. We ate the taxes to get the deal closed. The buyer wanted it really bad. She needed to sell. So we paid it to make sure everybody got what they wanted.
Right. Yeah.
So
it sounds like
go ahead.
You guys make things happen. You make things happen. That's a good way of doing business. Sometimes you do really well financially. Other ones you don't. But if the client is happy at the end of the deal, that's where all the referrals and all the extra business starts coming in from. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
All right. Hey, I learned a lot. I really appreciate you guys giving us your background, your information, what you guys are doing. Definitely anyone, it sounds like you guys are in all 50 states that you can help other real estate agents and investors. So let's reach out to you guys if you need any help. Of course, Kym's going to be available there for you as well. And I'm just excited about 2024. Before we close out, what are your guys' goals for 2024 for your businesses? I'll have you all answer that, and then we'll get going.
Kym, you want to go ahead?
Get busy. Yeah. Just get, get some traction. I was one of those that kind of took the back seat this year, but I got to change things up this year.
Ready to get busy. Yeah. All right.
Yep.
So ours is more of this, more podcasts, more things to create a bigger community, use Investor Lift, the upgraded mode to expand nationwide, build some kind of franchise model that we can put in, across the US. And we're working on starting a private lending company as well. So I guess our thing would be just more growth, help more people, teach more people.
Yeah, I'd like to, I think the goal for this year is to really double our business from last year. I'd like to hand out $200,000 in assignment fees. I'm confident that we can gross over $1 million in assignments for ourselves. We're working on another solution for people to be able to help out with going from a single rental to being able to get per room rents on that model. Also getting into private money. That should be wholly launched within the next 3 months. Continuing to grow our market presence as far as social media goes, and really being the biggest reliable resource here in Bakersfield, California. That when somebody said to me one time when I was in Fresno, who's your guys' celebrity when it comes to real estate investments in Bakersfield? And I said, nobody. And I was like, that needs to be me and you, Brandon. So, so it's being the loudest, reaching out to community, helping everybody out in this time. And then just when someone thinks anything about this, they're like, Central Valley REI, those are the guys we need to talk to.
All right, fantastic. Well, again, thanks everyone for listening on the Financial Freedom Forever podcast. I'm going to give you Gary's number again, 661-900-4104, or on Instagram at I am Gary Frausto, Frausto, and Brandon's number is 661-699-5512, and of course Kym's number is on the screen there, 661-319-6978. I really enjoyed talking to you guys today. All the real estate agents and it doesn't have to be real estate agents. It can be anybody that needs some help anywhere or around the U.S. When you need a solution, keep Gary and Brandon in your phone and reach out to them. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for being on the Financial Freedom Forever podcast today.
Thanks, Andre.
Thanks, Andre.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Listen to what our business partners are saying about our FFF group.
What I love most about our group, the alignment, the fact that I am aligned with some of the top producers in the world and can pick their brain any second of the day has been absolutely incredible for my business and has taken it to the next level. And I have to account it to alignment.
My favorite thing about the FFF group is just being surrounded by people with the same mentality as us that are striving for something better and building a better long-term plan for themselves.
My favorite part is the support. I can't tell you how many top producers have just kind of dropped what they're doing and supported us in a big way when we've had any kind of curveballs or compliance issues or any kind of new experience. Everyone within our group is just willing to give, and that's probably the best part about our Financial Freedom Group.
I believe if you surround yourself with like-minded people that are doing 10 to 15, 20 times more than me and you put together, we all bring each other up and bring our businesses to the next level and our lives. To learn more about how to partner with us, go to partnerwithandre.com or click the link below and let's have a conversation.